Rob, so good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Super excited to be here.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about stress for the next few minutes, and I'd just really love to get your take um on how you see stress, or maybe how you used to see stress and how you see it now.
Yeah, that's it's a very interesting topic because I don't think I've been on a platform and talked about stress ever before. Most people skip to trauma for me. But what's interesting is in thinking about it, uh, most of the examples of trauma come up, but honestly, in those instances, I wasn't as stressed because it was very clearly defined actions or behaviors that had to be done. There was nothing stressful about it. I either do it or I did. And for me, um, now what I see about it is that stress again is a lot of future thinking and a lot of future structuring of our lives. And because it's so tight and rigid, the ripple effect is it's causing my current day-to-day life to just flail. And so I've learned that if I can loosen or release the grips I have on the future, whether that's financially, whether that's for the safety and health of my children and grandchildren, whether that's for the successfulness of my business, when I can loosen the grips on what those actually mean and stay a little bit closer to the now and the moment of now, situations aren't as stressful because it will be clearly defined what my behavior is. And I either do it or I don't. I've heard things before, or even myself. I'll just keep it to me. Is I used to be one of those that said aloud, "Oh, I work better under pressure," and that was probably one of the biggest lies I think I used to say out loud because I don't think any human being really works well under pressure because under pressure means that a portion of you is honestly scanning for threats. Our entire being in this is about survival. And if a portion of that bandwidth is goes to looking for threats, then there is no way I have my entire bandwidth to be present for what I'm actually facing. And so for me, stress when I have it is just one of those alarms where it's time to take a break. I've gone far too tight or far too in the future on this level or mode of thinking or this topic that I'm thinking about where I'm not doing myself any good. Um, they are stresses in life. I'll admit there are, when a deadline happens and or when there's a health issue that comes up with a loved family one. I mean, yes, those things are stressful only because of the story or narrative we're comparing them to. So, for instance, I have quite a bit of stress about getting the phone call about my grandmother passing, being that she's much elderly now, the dementia is there, she's lived a beautiful life. That isn't as stressful when I remember that we all at one day will have a physical death. It's only stressful when I compare it to not wanting to miss my grandma. So for me, my stress comes usually when I'm rubbing up against an unfactual or unvalid thought pattern. Because the truth is, I know we're all going to die. Actually, a deeper truth than that is, I don't even know if she's going to go before me.
Hmm.
So to create a stress around it wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. But with seeing that stress as a thought for me or seeing it visible in my life, what it does go is, oh, I better make sure she know I love her then.
Hmm.
Because that's typically what for me I'm up against in my day to day is ensuring those that I love most know that I love them most. So there won't be any misunderstanding, any regrets when we all face this one spiritual truth. It's why I am so open or raw when I'm on stage because I don't get those opportunities often. And so when given the opportunity to share something with someone What I want to share is real truth, real truth that will help their life not be as stressful. So that's not saying, again, things won't happen, but the stress is because of what we're thinking about those things. And stress also, again, I'll speak about myself, came when I didn't have a proper way of understanding myself. Like when I thought I was broken, stress was harder. And it affected me more, obviously, because I was broken.
Mm.
When I realized I wasn't broken, it was like, okay, wait. Well, then stress has to have a purpose, or it has to have, some kind of benefit. But it was much different when I wasn't coming from the place of me being broken. And it does have a benefit. For me, when I'm super stressed, my benefit or my realization is slow down. Make sure we haven't skipped any steps. And then compare that story to the truth. And if we can do that, you take a deep breath, and very, very quickly, I kind of got an example of it is if you've ever talked to someone who's super stressed at the moment, and figuratively speaking, you don't actually do it, but you take one of those things off of their plate, so-called to speak, of thinking about. So for instance, me and you are talking and you've given me all the stressors that you're going through. And I said, well, Shazia, what would life be like if you didn't have to think about that? And then the moment you start thinking about it, you go, oh my God, it would be so easy. I wouldn't have to do, and you could just run with that. That's how you know. Nothing changed. Not one of the deadlines, not any of that stuff changed for real. But in the mind, you saw past it enough to see the freedom on the other side, and it kind of woke you up to a passion or a life or a vigor about it that ultimately makes it dissipate. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I would think about it.
I love it.